Hi everyone, let's talk makeup. So hopefully some of the noises and things going on in my house today are not too distracting, but today I have a review of the Ordinary Colors Coverage Foundation, High Coverage Foundation Formula. And so I don't have any of it on my face yet. All I have right now in terms of makeup is my eyes. So I wanted to kind of demo this and show you how I wear it, what I think of it, so give you my review as I'm putting together my makeup. So kind of get ready with me / review. So first off, I'm going to go in with a little bit of primer because I did find that if I want to increase the longevity of this foundation, I've got to use all the tricks up my sleeve, right? So primer, setting powder, all that. So that's what I'm going to show you today. So I'm getting using a little bit of this small sample of the Too Faced Primed and Peachy primer that I got with an order. This was like one of those like codes at Sephora where you can put in, I think the code was like peachy or something, and you get a free little sample of this. And this is a mattifying and cooling primer that I've only worn a few times and have been enjoying it. So I do have very oily skin, like, or I think I'm feeling like I'm a broken record about this, but I have very oily skin. And when I say oily skin, I'm not just talking about, a little bit of oils here and there. I have oily skin everywhere, not just on my T-zone, everywhere. And so the wrong foundation can really be a disaster for me during a long day. And I do have days in which I go for 12, sometimes 16 hours a day wearing makeup. And that's just, the time that I'm at work, right? Or from getting ready to the time in which I'm taking off my makeup. Okay, I'm going to go in with this. It does say to shake. You do get 1 fluid ounce in this bottle. It has a nice little pump, which I appreciate. And usually for me, 1 full pump will work. So that's what it is. It's not super runny, but it is a watery foundation. Right? So I go in and I dot it all over my face and then spread it out. So I usually kind of start dotting it on my cheeks because, as you can tell, I have acne scarring. I have quite a bit of acne scarring and hyperpigmentation. So I feel like, a lot of skin concerns. I've been having a few breakouts lately, but nothing big. So I never worry too much about coverage of breakouts and things like that, because those kinds of things they're just gonna happen. I'm also when it comes to my acne scarring, it's gonna be there and nothing's gonna make it disappear, right? There are really thick foundations, things like the Estee Lauder Double Wear and the Kat Von D foundation, that almost make it disappear. So that is kind of my bar. The bar is set by those two foundations in terms of coverage. So I'm going to go in with a beauty blender, which is what I found was my favorite way of using this foundation. And this is the Ulta Beauty sponge. So as you can tell here, it does a really good job. It's really easy to spread and blend in. And let's see, I always pay a little special attention to my cheek just so that I can make sure I get the most out of the coverage there. So this is quite a pigmented foundation, because hopefully, as you can tell, this really went in, evened out my skin tone, and gave me coverage. This does give you quite a bit of coverage. So I would say it is high medium to full coverage. The only reason I'm not saying it's full coverage is because, like I said, kind of the bar for me is at the Estee Lauder Double Wear and the Kat Von D foundation, the Lock-It foundation. So those two for me are full coverage, and I don't have to do much with those foundations in order to just get full coverage. This gets really close. Can you tell? Really close, like really just a hair below those two foundations. So I would say those two are still on top of the line, but in terms of coverage, I would put this one just below it. So very very nice coverage with this foundation. In terms of kind of the look of it, it's not matte. This is the only thing with this foundation, it's not matte. It's not dewy, of course, but it's kind of a more satin take to it. Yeah, I think it's, I would call it more satin because it's not matte and it isn't gonna like dry you out. It just doesn't say that it's meant for oily skin, just that it's a coverage foundation. So I do think people with like normal skin are gonna like it. And before I even finish the rest of my look, I think I'll just tell you the rest of my thoughts on this. In terms of longevity, I do get a good 5 to 6 hours with this foundation if I just apply it and I don't put any setting powder whatsoever on my face. I've been trying out this foundation for about for 2 weeks, and I've only not worn it for like 1 or 2 days during that 2-week period. So I've tried it in many different ways, and what I have found that for my very oily skin, it works really well in terms of coverage, and it works in terms of longevity when I set it. With pretty much any kind of powder, I am still taking off a lot of the foundation at the very end of the day. So lately the powder that I have been using is the Pumpkin and Poppy Oil Absorbing Mineral Veil, and their powders have been called dupes for the Hourglass powders. They're a little bit, they're dupey. But this is a shop that right now you can get their products on Etsy. So that has worked really well. If you use a powder foundation, that will work well as well with this foundation. Let's see, what else have I used? In terms of applying other face products, I have found that this foundation plays well with both cream and powder products. So the contour, the blush, all that stuff, it plays really well. So overall, I do really like this foundation. It's gives me the kind of coverage that I need, and it does tend to keep most of my oils at bay. Like I said, I do need to set it, but for me, that's not something abnormal. I like to set all of my foundations. The only foundations that I might sometimes not set are Broken Record, Estee Lauder, and Kat Von D. So I'm going to go and finish my makeup, but that is it for me in terms of the review. I do recommend it. The Ordinary has done a better job of keeping this in stock, so I'm going to go ahead and leave a link below. It's an affordable foundation, and honestly, I've seen some reviews of this, really good reviews of it, and I tend to agree with them that this is almost like holy grail status for me. I'm in the process of trying a bunch of other foundations, and when I do reviews of them, I think one of the main things I'll be comparing them to is this one, because I do find that this is a foundation I can trust on my longest of days, and that is pretty rare for the kind of skin, the kind of oily skin that I have. But yeah, that is it for me. Let me know what you've thought of it, and if you, especially if you have dewy or dry skin, what you thought of it, because that's the only question mark for me. I think this is a great foundation for those of us with oily skin. I think people with normal skin will like it, but I'm not sure about people with dry skin because of the coverage in it. It has a lot of pigment, so that's the only thing I worry about when it comes to people with dry skin. But this is where I'd love to hear what you all think and how it has worked or not for you. So I will see you in the next one. Bye.